The Wilder Institute and Calgary Zoo are protecting our diverse world. Let's work together to bring the pollinators back. In a habitat with abundant bears, elk, deer, and other large mammals, the tiniest of species often gets overlooked. A visit to Waterton Lakes National Park may warrant a watchful eye to find an endangered species that's only found in one location in Alberta. The half-moon hair-streak butterfly is found on the Blakiston Fan, designated as a critical habitat under Canada's Species at Risk Act. With its wings open, this butterfly is no bigger than a quarter. In the peaceful atmosphere of its grassland habitat, this butterfly continues to change along with the seasons through its life stages as an egg in the winter, a larva in the spring, and finally as a butterfly in the summer. As pollinators, butterflies help bring the wildflowers to life every spring. Their numbers can fluctuate quite drastically and have shifted from less than 100 to several thousands of individuals. Though, being a small population, a single fire or flood could still pose a severe threat to this butterfly species. Together, in collaboration with Parks Canada, we are learning more about this mysterious pollinator, which will help inform how to better protect them into the future.
The half-moon hairstreak is a very small butterfly that relies on certain plants for its food source, its nectar, and also for what plant it lays its eggs on for the young to grow up on. So the one it likes to lay eggs on is called silvery lupin. And so it lays its eggs at the base of that plant and then overwinters as an egg, grows up on that plant until it emerges as an adult. And then it merges out, and then it's seeking out other plants for foods, for nectaring. And that can be the buckwheat, the yellow buckwheat. There's a solidago, that's a goldenrods as well, and then some other ones like yarrow and other plants like that. So having that combination of plants is necessary to have the hairstreak, have good habitat for the hairstreak. So about 4 or 5 years ago, we noticed the population of hairstreaks had taken a nosedive in the number of adults we were seeing. So we usually, when we do surveys, we count 50, 100, a couple hundred individuals. 2017, we counted maybe 18 adults. And that's concerning, but it's not, insect populations fluctuate. And then 2018, we only counted 6 adults. So at that time, we knew we needed to think about how we're going to rescue this population. If it needed rescuing, we didn't know enough about its natural history to really understand what was going on.
So to look for larvae, we know that the larvae hatch around early May after the snow has melted, and they live as a larvae on the lupin plants in Waterton Lakes from May to early July. And so we look for them at the base of lupins. Monitoring and counting the larvae is important because it tells us how many larvae are out there, how many might be turning into adults or surviving over their life cycle. And it also tells us what type of habitat they're living in so that we can catalog the habitat better. Adult surveys for the half-moon hairstreak are done by walking transects along the Blakiston Fan. So we're looking for data such as when they're flying, how active they are during the day, the temperature that they're active at, and then if they're on a nectaring plant such as the yellow buckwheat, or if they're trying to lay eggs on a lupin. And then we take some behavioral data such as if they're mating or if they're defending an area from other males. Usually males set up tiny territories. So this data will be used to assess the habitat on the fan to see where certain parts of the fan should be more highly protected or if focused for getting rid of invasive species, such as the spotted knapweed. It'll also be used to help support if we were going to do translocations, such as introducing extra population to the Blakiston Fan to help support the endangered population there, or if we wanted to do assisted colonization to another spot so we can compare habitats and make sure the habitat is is suitable.
There's still a lot of learning to do before we can implement conservation management actions, but we're slowly discovering answers together. Part of the important work done by Parks Canada is managing invasive species, such as spotted knapweed, which does degrade habitat for the hairstreak. All these efforts combined may lead to using conservation translocation as a tool to support the recovery of this butterfly.
And then perhaps if we need to, with conservation planning, with the help of the zoo, do we need to establish a second population in appropriate habitat just to have that buffer, that background, that backup, should anything happen to this population again? And end goal as well, learning the genetics of the species.
To support the half-moon hairstreak, there are several things you can do. When you're in Waterton Lakes National Park, you can respect their habitat, make sure that if you're going through a walk on the Blakiston Fan that you've cleaned your shoes so you're not tracking in invasive plants. You can make sure to not damage the habitat, so respect the trails, stay on the trails.
Everyone can help support saving this butterfly's habitat. Simple actions like cleaning off boots and equipment and leaving no trace will protect native grasses and wildflowers. A wild home for these pollinators creates wilder places for other species and for us to enjoy. Help us make our world even wilder.